Alright, what's up everybody? I am Lulu Soul, and today I have with me Salvo Sharko again.
Yo.
And, so in our last video, which totally is up on YouTube by the time you guys see this, whether or not... Yep, so by the time you guys see this, it'll totally be up there. We talked about an anime called Reincarnated as a Vending Machine, and I was actually super hyped for it. And Salvo and I just attempted to watch it. How far in did we get, Salvo?
Let me check. Let me just pull it back up. Hold on. We didn't even get 2 minutes.
Didn't even get 2 minutes.
A minute 49.
And so today, instead of just talking about like a specific anime, what I wanted to talk about is like when you get that point to where it's just like, I don't even want to give this 3 episodes. I don't want to end up liking this anime, because let's be honest, we keep saying that an anime needs at least 3 episodes before it can really get going. You need to watch at least sometimes 4 episodes before you know if you'll really like it or not. But our attention spans are almost non-existent these days. I know mine is a little all over the place today specifically. And realistically, there has to be something in an anime that keeps you interested enough to give it those 3 episodes.
And sometimes the vibes are just not there.
Sometimes the vibes are just not there. So, Salvo, I wanted to ask you today. I mean, I know I called the look. This is not my vibe today. But when have you experienced this? Like, what will normally just make something a hard no for you?
I've never really sat down and like thought about it. I don't know if I have like a specific instance that I can like reference for this. But like sometimes, you know, you look at a show, you start watching it and you go, yeah, no, I've got no interest. I can't pay. I can't do this.
I know for me, it's happened twice recently. The most recent time, obviously, was Reborn as a Vending Machine. And the other time was last season, actually, with My Home Hero.
I honestly didn't think you'd get into that one because it sounded super dark.
It's not even that it was super dark, because what is it? I believe it's called Re-Life. Relife.
I don't know what you're referencing. Any more context?
Well, I want to make sure I've got, because there was a lot of okay, no, Re-Life was a completely different one. That was,
Came out ReZero?
no. God, I hate watched ReZero.
Well, I mean, at least you're honest.
Look, okay, so that's actually, it's a really good thing to talk about. So ReZero was a situation of, as much as I want to say like this anime was absolutely horrible, and you know what, I might even watch it again to just see if it was a gut reaction or not. But there was, the reason I had such a visceral reaction to ReZero was because there was a lot of parts of ReZero that captured my interest. I liked the art style when it wasn't trying to be the next Madoka Magica. It was actually pretty engaging. Like, I was interested in the world. I found myself getting interested in the characters. And every time I found myself getting drawn into that anime, massive bullshit would happen. And it's like, wow, I gave my emotions to that. This is irritating. So like there was something in ReZero that made me want to like it, which turned it into a hate watch.
Okay.
I still think it's a bad anime. Not like I didn't like it. Like, I think ReZero was a bad anime, which is why I should go back and review it. Same thing with Madoka Magica. I hated Madoka Magica.
That's fair.
But I think it's more of, with Madoka Magica, I think that one would very much likely have just been like this anime is mid and move on with your life. But because of all of the hype that my friends put into that anime, and then I started watching it, I just got angry.
Yeah, no, that all makes sense.
Like, what do you mean this is a revolutionary anime? What do you mean this changes how the magical girl genre is? It doesn't. This is someone's, like, pretentious. Madoka Magica came off to me as very pretentious. ReZero also kind of came off as pretentious. but I'm trying to think of that anime that I watched. Let's see. Anime where man goes back in time to his childhood. That's probably gonna...
There's probably gonna be a couple.
Erased. There we go. That's it. Erased. Erased has a very mature, very dark plot. It's an anime about this guy who has this ability that he will be kind of forced back in time, and it usually happens for a few seconds or a few minutes at a time. And he will occasionally, this will happen, and he will prevent whatever it is that was going to happen that was going to be a tragedy. And then one day, his mom gets murdered, and he gets blamed for it. And that triggers him going back in time to when he was a little kid. And he shows up as a little kid to a time period where there was a mass kidnapper, murderer going around kidnapping and killing children.
Uh-huh.
And his whole thing is trying to prevent the death of, I think, the first victim. And it is a dark storyline, but it is so well done. Like, Salvo, I think you would enjoy it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it from the beginning to the end because it mixes humor inside of the deeper, darker plot. It takes itself seriously, but not too seriously. Like, the point of it is to tell this mystery story, and you want to know what is going to happen next with every episode.
All right.
With My Home Hero, and again, it may have just been my mood, because my mood drastically affects whether or not I can watch a type of anime. But with My Home Hero, we come in, first off, I'm not a huge fan of the art style. I don't know why I'm not a huge fan of the art. Like, it's not bad. I don't know. It's kind of get like uncanny valley. Like, I'm looking at the video's captions right now. I'm not a huge fan of the main character right off the bat. I'm really not a huge fan of his daughter, which is bad because the main character and his daughter is the person that you're supposed to feel bad for. And on top of that, like, let's see, I stopped watching... I've got it pulled up here, so I'm going to look at it real quick. I stopped watching this, 6 minutes and 51 seconds in during the first action scene. And it was graphic, but I realized I didn't care that this dude was getting beat up.
Yeah, when the whole point is, hey, look at this thing, and then you're like, but I don't care. That's not good.
Right? And so I got 6 minutes and 50 some, and this was an anime that I said was probably going to be a sleeper anime of the season as well. So this might be one that I need to go back and watch in a different mood, maybe in the mood I'm in right now, actually, to see if I could either turn it into a hate watch or actually enjoy it. Looking down at the comments, we've got the wife is ride or die material. What a fucking man of a father. Daughter is already pissing me off. So yeah, like, no one likes the daughter. I don't know, maybe, but for whatever reason, got 6 minutes and 51 seconds in, and I just stopped. I was like, this anime is not worth the 3 episodes for me.
Okay. Listen, I'm not going to tell you.
But now I'm looking back at it, I'm like, I'm in a little bit more of like a grump mood, so maybe that's better. Like, do you watch different themed anime or read different themed books and stuff based off of your mood?
Yeah, but not in that way.
Okay.
I generally try to find things to offset my mood, to improve it. I don't do a lot of hate watching. I'll generally just go, all right, well, I don't like this, and stop.
That's fair. That's fair. Like I said, I've only hate watched 2 anime, and that has been Erased and Madoka Magica. And that was another thing. So I have this huge thing, right, of there's a difference between saying I am not enjoying this anime, so I'm choosing not to watch it, and I think this anime is bad.
Yeah, that is a very different mood.
And if I'm going to argue that an anime is bad, I am going to watch as much of it as possible, because I feel like I need to back that up. I need to know that it doesn't get better, that it doesn't change. Like, I want to have, these are the reasons why I am saying this is a poorly made anime, as opposed to this is just something that wasn't my vibe.
That's fair. And generally, I'm not trying to actually, like, say, hey, this is bad if I haven't seen it. I'm just going, all right, well, this isn't for me. Right. I'm out.
But so few people do that. And I think that's where hate watching for me has actually come from, because so often, I'm going to turn myself up a little bit. There we go. So often will have a conversation with people, or I'll have a conversation with people, and it'll come up to like, oh yeah, I watched X, Y, and Z, and someone's like, oh my god, that's so bad. Like, here we go, My Hero Academia. Oh my god, My Hero Academia is so bad. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, what didn't you like about it? Oh, I haven't watched it. Or I've watched 5 minutes of it. Or I saw a clip once. Or someone else told me this scene happened, so it's a bad anime. And it's like, but you haven't watched it. How can you say it's bad?
By the way, I've just been reminded of a moment where I did hate watch something.
Oh, what was it?
It was Sword Art. I hate Sword Art.
So, oh man, this is... So Sword Art was coming out during the first rendition of Anime Nights with me and a buddy of mine. And I was going through a phase where I would just fall asleep. Like, I would get like 5 minutes into the anime, and it didn't really matter what the anime was. We just happened to be watching anime during a time of day where I was getting really lethargic, and it was very comfortable hanging out with this friend. Like, I felt safe with them. So I would just pass out.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen like the first 4 or 5 minutes of the majority of season 1 of Sword Art, and then I would just pass out. And then I tried watching season 2.
I don't recommend that.
Or part 2, not season 2. I think it was part 2 with the fairies. Everyone's a fairy. And I actually watched all of that one, but I don't remember most of it because it was very mid.
So here's the thing. I'm going to go on a Sword Art rant, and you can either edit this out or keep it in. I don't care.
I mean, I got crochet. Let's go.
Okay, so here's the thing about Sword Art. For one, there was never any belief that Kirito will not succeed at any point. Kirito always wins. There are even points where he wins for no discernible reason. It's not because he's the fastest or the best or any of these other things. He just does. He is, I think it's supposed to be like Gary Stu, but I'm always going to say Mary Sue. He is a perfect character who always succeeds at everything he does. Everyone around him might, die or get hurt, but in most of those situations where like people die around him, he probably could have done something about it and just didn't, because he's supposed to be this incredibly stupidly OP character. And there's just no like narrative like reason for it.
So here, sorry, but I've got a question for you then, because we have established Kirito no Go. However, we have also in the past talked about an interest in power fantasy anime, which you do sometimes enjoy.
Dabble.
So what is the difference between, do you think, between Kirito as a Mary Sue, because we're just gonna use Mary Sue, what is gender? Kirito as a Mary Sue versus other power fantasy anime that you have actually actively enjoyed?
Well, so the main argument I have here is that, yeah, in its own way, Sword Art is a power fantasy specifically for one character. But most of the times when you have a power fantasy character, how do I word this? Words are hard. For one, in a lot of instances, the power fantasy character, a good power fantasy character, has earned that. Or, gotten it for some reason. They've done something to be as overpowered as they are. The character might not even know it. Like, for instance, Saitama is a power fantasy character. In Saitama's universe, he cannot lose. He has no idea why he's OP, but he's OP.
Is it that One Punch Man?
I'm sorry, One Punch, I'm sorry. My brain's not on, y'all.
Oh no, I mean, anyone who has seen One Punch Man will know it is Saitama, mostly because I have only seen, I think, season 1 of One Punch Man, and again, I remember very little of it, but...
Really good.
It's okay.
It is a very good comedic show that has some good action moments, but it is mostly, more often, a comedy.
And I think that's one of the reasons I actually tend to not be as interested in anime that are intended to be comedies.
Fair.
Sometimes I can really get into one, but it's pretty rare. And in One Punch Man's case, I think I was actually more interested in the world than in Saitama himself.
Also fair. Going back to power fantasies, though.
Right.
Even with a lot of power fantasy characters, they're not, like, perceived as invincible. There's a lot of times where they're still perceived as... Okay, well, they've still had failings. Like one of my favorites, reincarnated as a slime. There are times he fails. Usually that gets, undone later. It still feels earned. Kirito is just OP the entire time, because he has the quote-unquote highest reaction speed of every player.
I would also argue that, like, in the case of reincarnated as a slime, yes, he's OP, but from what I remember watching of season 1 and some of season 2, it's not about the action scenes of that journey. It's more about, oh god, Rimuru, right?
Yeah.
Rimuru learning about the world around them, meeting new people. It's more of a social experiment almost style anime than it is will they survive the day action style adventure anime. Whereas Sword Art Online, it is absolutely an action style adventure will they survive the day anime. And while in a lot of those, especially if it's a shonen, the main character is probably going to come out alive and fine, it doesn't seem like, from what you're saying, Kirito struggled with that at all ever.
Yeah.
And when your main character isn't struggling with the conflict, maybe that's the difference.
Yeah, maybe all of that's wrong. Maybe people disagree, but
Well, because I'm sorry, my brain is like going now, and I'm thinking about it because, like, in Reincarnated as the Slime, the parts where I'm like, oh no, is this gonna succeed? Is this gonna fail? It has more to do with gaining access to the city, getting people to understand that the city that Rimuru is slowly building, country at this point, city, isn't a bad place, but also trying to make sure that people don't realize that it's as overpowered an area as it is. Like, it's a lot of, actually a lot of politics.
Yeah, actually.
And you do have those moments of, oh no, is this interaction going to fail? Will he actually win, or will they actually win over these kids? Will they actually end up making friends with this kingdom, or is this kingdom going to start a war with them? The conflict isn't in the actual battle scenes unless there are other characters that are fighting, and in those scenarios, it isn't a power fantasy.
Seems reasonable to me.
And maybe that's it, because with Kirito, the action is the point of the show. The fights, the battles, the adventures, and he just...
The world is not interesting. I think the actual, design of the game is bad. The whole concept, from a start point, is stupid. And, even when you get to the end of Sword Art Online, they're like, hey man, why'd you do all this? The villain's just like, I don't know.
No,
because I did.
I thought the villain had a reason. I don't think it was a good reason.
It wasn't great. And I'll admit, it's been quite a few years since I've watched this show. I'm told that other parts of Sword Art are good, but I can't, man. And, Season 2 is really dark and has some really, rapey stuff in it.
Yeah, But going back to the power fantasy idea thing, there was a situation. So, my husband and I have recently started rewatching One Piece.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not rewatching, continuing, right? And I have realized something about the anime, because normally I'm actually, when it comes to One Piece, I'm very conflicted on whether I'm team manga or team anime, because it's easier to follow the anime, but the fight scenes, holy guacamole, Batman, right? But
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
Just a brief thing of the manga is a lot faster to experience. However, some of the animation is so incredible.
Especially where I am at, which is right before Zoe.
Yeah, they really kicked up their animation quite a bit in the post-Zoe and post-Zoe area. And
I've recently discovered something about the filler arcs that has stolen my heart. Because I don't know. I'm gonna try my best to be vague, because I don't really know. Everybody, One Piece is either open season, expect spoilers, or understand that everybody you meet is in a different place in this anime, so you have to be careful. It is so long. But we are, what is it called? We ended the Don Flamingo arc. And we haven't started the Zoe arc. And I think after Zoe is Big Mama, right?
I think Zoe leads into Big Mom and then Wano.
Is Big Mama its own arc, or is it part of Zoe?
hold on. I'm literally just going to search story arcs.
Okay, while you're doing that, that's not really my point. So we're in between two main arcs, and there's a filler little mini. It's like 5 or 6 episodes, and Luffy gets kind of incapacitated at the beginning of the filler. He gets trapped in this giant lead ball, and he can't really do anything because you realize when you get to the end of the arc, Luffy is so incredibly overpowered at this point, facing the villains that he's facing, that they had to literally incapacitate him so he could not fight for most of the mini arc.
Because they would solve the problem immediately.
Yeah, like they had to catch him off guard, and he had to be literally incapable of movement. And then
Seems reasonable.
And then there reaches a point where he gets free. And it actually, like, Zoro shows up at one point, and there's a scene where Zoro's like, all right, I'm gonna fight this guy. And the little buddies that Luffy has, like, accumulated along the way are like, oh my god, we have to help him. And Luffy's like, nah, fam. He said he's got this. And Zoro's got this. And then, like, 2 scenes later, Zoro's like, all right, Luffy, I'm gonna help you out. And Luffy's like, you guys go back. I've got to take care of this. And they're like, but Zoro, we have to help Luffy. And Zoro's like, nah, he's got this. But Luffy has this moment of where he's looking at this bad guy, and you know without a doubt, this is going to be a bloodbath. He's not going to struggle here. He's not meant to struggle here. We have watched Luffy struggle so much since episode 1, and every once in a while, we get these little gems of moments where it's like, Luffy is a badass, and you just get to see him be a badass.
Yeah, there are moments in One Piece where you're like, all right, you know, this is the big boss. Luffy's gonna struggle for a bit, and then there are moments where you're like, this guy is about to be destroyed.
And in that case, like that portion of power fantasies, I absolutely love it. But I think the reason I love it is we see the character struggle so much.
That seems reasonable to me.
But also, we've been in this filler arc, and we watch like maybe 1 or 2 episodes a time, and we might watch it like once a week, once every 2 weeks. I really want to start Zoe because I've read a little bit of Zoe. That's a complete lie. I don't care about Zoe. I want to get to the Big Mama arc.
So, for the record, the arc is actually the Big Mom arc. It's the Whole Cake Island arc.
Okay.
And Zoe is a subset of that.
Okay, that's good. That means it's going to be short-ish. I don't know. It is the anime.
As a note, on average, the anime is putting out more episodes than chapters.
I mean, yeah, that happens.
For instance, the Whole Cake Island saga, the entire Zoe arc, Whole Cake, all of that, is 107 chapters, but it took 143 episodes.
Yeah, some of it's going to be a lot of some of it's going to be like little mini filler scenes, like where I'm in right now. But a lot of it's also going to be just a long, dragged out battle. I think it was my husband, Tsukasa, that first brought this to my attention, like how the characters in the manga are so much more powerful than the same characters in the anime because they have to drag out the fight scenes in the anime.
Yeah. He pointed that out to me at one point, and I was just like, huh, yeah, fair enough.
But at the same time, the anime gets the little fillers that give you these, hey, look, this is how powerful the character is. But the anime also gives you fights that are worth every second of that dragged out time, like the giraffe fight in Water 7.
That was great.
We're not going to go into context for the giraffe fight, because if someone maybe is just starting Water 7 or is in Water 7 or hasn't even started this anime at all, it is like, what do you mean a giraffe fight? You'll
get there or you won't.
If you know, you know. And I know I originally started like these recordings, someone talk about like what is it that something like makes you absolutely say no to an anime, but we've kind of drifted around, and I don't hate that.
I mean, this is how we do.
Yeah, I like this kind of more, like, we're staying fairly on topic of anime, and I just like fucking around about anime a little bit. And I know you said that you don't hate watch shit, but would you be willing to give My Home Hero a shot with me? Because I think if I'm watching it with someone that I can rag on it a little bit as we're watching it, that might make it more something that I could actually get through.
I will say a tentative sure.
Let's gauge one episode.
Yeah. Just as a note, I am going to attempt to finish an episode of Vending Machine.
Okay, so, well, here we go. We're reaching the end of this current podcast. When we talk again, right, the next time we talk, we are going to go over whether or not we were able to get through at least one episode of these two anime that have been considered no-goes. And after we got through the one episode, whether or not we continued to the 3 episode to see if it was an anime we would actually enjoy.
Seems reasonable to me.
All right. Well, until then, friends, enemies, and everybody in between, we will see y'all later.
Yep. Have a
Okay,
good one, everybody.
thanks. Bye.